Today we're going to talk about braggarts. My father was a very humble man. While he was accomplished in his work, he never talked about it or the things that he had. He never spoke of the generous things that he did or the lives that he had touched. When I was young and going through my growing pains, trying to figure out where I fit into the world, I succumbed to the pressures of insecurity and found myself acting boastful. I was trying to impress those around me, whether it was to improve my social standing or just to feel like I fit in. My father would see this and always remind me to be modest. He would say, there are some people who have less and some people who have more. He taught me that my value was not measured by the things I had, but rather the quality of my character. There's an old saying, quote, empty barrels make the most noise, end quote. Someone who is accomplished will allow their achievements to speak for themselves. Boastful behavior comes from a place of insecurity and lack of self-confidence. Basically, people brag to puff themselves up because they don't feel good enough as they are. Wannabes and phonies use their wealth and status to impress others. Oftentimes, these people have just enough to convince you that they are successful. I've seen people go up to their eyeballs in debt just to impress others and be a big shot. I can remember a car mechanic telling me that when someone drives a Ferrari, they don't need to rev the engine or race other cars because they have nothing to prove. Everyone already knows that it's a fast car. I was fortunate to learn this lesson at a young age. Many people spend their whole life trying to impress others. And really, to what end? Would you like to be surrounded by people who only associate with you in hopes of personal gain? There are overt and covert braggarts. The overt braggart is easy to spot. They can't wait to tell you about their accomplishments and their possessions. They carry themselves with a real grandiosity. Everything they have is the latest and greatest. Only the best will do for their life. They often embellish their attributes and accomplishments to the point where one would think that they're trying to try out for the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world commercial. I've even known people who will brag about things that they don't even have, or people they associate with. They seek to elevate themselves through an association rather than an actual accomplishment or attributes of their own. Then we have the covert bragger, also known today as the humble bragger. This person is just as boastful as the overt, but instead they do it under the guise of being humble and grounded. I actually knew a girl in high school who told me how hard it was to be beautiful. She told me she never knew if people liked her for her or if they were just around her for her beauty. Keep in mind, this girl used to spend hours getting ready for school every morning. She went to the salon like it was a second home, and she had more makeup and clothing than a Hollywood movie set. I have a neighbor who always invites me to their vacation home, which is just their way of opening the door to brag about their wealth and then bore me to tears with endless pictures of their beautiful home overlooking the beach. Needless to say, in 20 years, they've never actually followed through on this invitation. The only people that boasting attracts are users. People who are only around to play with their toys, use them for money, or attain status by association. Sometimes people will encourage you to engage in a little self-aggrandizement. The best response, I always tell people, I have more than some and less than others. Or, I do all right for myself, and I let them imagine what I have. Leave some mystery about yourself. There's no benefit to tooting your own horn. Nobody enjoys the ramblings of a braggart, but for some reason many people don't have the self-reflection to refrain from doing it themselves. Many braggarts don't seem to notice the lack of feedback from their audience, the heavy sighs, attempts to change the subject, lack of eye contact, or maybe people just excusing themselves from their company. So what can we do when we're faced with a blowhard? First and foremost, the goal is to not provide them with encouragement or validation. You can try to extinguish their behavior in many ways. Hint your lack of interest with body language. Body language is an important communication tool. Use body language that expresses your lack of interest. Avert your eye contact. Position your torso away from the speaker. Don't try to conceal your micro-facial expressions of boredom and contempt. 2, you could try to change the subject with something that you both may enjoy, a mutual interest, or at least something innocuous like sports or movies. 3, drop a hint. Depending on what they're bragging about, say something like, hey, I'm just not really a car guy, so this is all lost on me. Or, I get my fill of work during the workday, so let's talk about something non-work related. Try to derail the boasting by working into the conversation something about maybe a friend who is always bragging about this or that and how insufferable you find them to be. 5, utilize the blank gaze when all other hints have gone unrecognized. Simply stare off into space and daydream about something. If they call you out for not paying attention, politely say, "Oh, I didn't realize you were still talking." Even the thickest of people should get that message. 6, when all else fails, excuse yourself from the conversation. Always have an out and know where the exits are. Something like, "I'm sorry, I have to take this call. I'm going to have to talk with you later." Or, "Oh, I forgot I have to do XYZ. Would you please excuse me?" "Well, it's been great catching up, but I should really see to my other friends. Take care of yourself." Do not try to put these people in their place, humble them, or expose them as a blowhard. It will only cause you backlash, drama, and make life difficult for you. You'll be cast as the bad guy. They will make sure that you pay dearly for the insult to their ego. Your goal is not to feed the beast. Do not offer your attention and validation. Let them find another audience to perform for. The bottom line, we all want to be recognized and feel special. We desire the approval of others. We aspire to be better versions of ourselves and have a better quality of life. We want people to think well of us. These are all natural human qualities. While it's perfectly normal for us to want to celebrate our blessings and good fortunes with those around us, remember there is a fine line between a healthy desire for validation and coming off to others as being full of yourself. When in doubt, err on the side of humility.